So let's continue with Unit 5 and word stress patterns. So as we learned last week, every English word has a stress pattern. Because English listeners recognize a word by the stress, using the correct pattern is even more important than using the correct sounds. So here we have two words. President. So president, the stress is on the first syllable. Prime minister. Prime minister. So the stress is on the prime and the first syllable of minister. Now, if you say a word using its correct stress pattern, it is easier for other people to understand you, even if you do not get every sound exactly right. So this is very important, that the correct stress pattern is more important than getting every sound exactly right. English listeners tend to listen for the pattern. Okay, so even if some of the sounds aren't correct, that's not as bad as getting the stress pattern wrong. Okay, and we learned the stress rule for two-syllable words. Except for verbs, two-syllable words are stressed on the first syllable 90% of the time. So that means not verbs, means words like nouns, adjectives, and adverbs. And we practice these two-syllable words, right? Like lemon, jacket, older, winter, rocket, open, student, April. So as you can see, they're all stressed on the first syllable, and they're all nouns, adjectives, and adverbs. And names also are kinds of nouns, so they're stressed on the first syllable. And we learned the rule for words that end in shen with a T, S, or C, right? And the rule was that for words that end in shen, the stressed syllable comes just before the shen ending. So today we're gonna look at words that end in ik and ical. And for that, we're gonna do a listening task, and you're gonna guess what is the rule for words that end in ik and ical. Okay, so I'm gonna read the words. Okay, so here we are on the quiz, and I'm gonna read the words, and then you have to choose which syllable is stressed in these words. So the first one is Atlantic. Atlantic. Domestic. Domestic. Statistic. Statistic. Economic. Economic. Comic. Comic. Automatic. Automatic. Photographic. Photographic. Dramatic. Dramatic. Economical. Economical. Surgical. Surgical. Chemical. Chemical. Technological. Technological. Political. Political. Comical. comical. Okay. And now you should look at your answers to the quiz and then guess, what do you think is the stress rule for words that end in ic? And also, what do you think is the stress rule for words with the ical ending? For words with the ic ending and with the ical ending. Submit, and then we'll have a look at the answer to questions 15 and 16 right now. Okay, here we are back. So the stress rule is that for words that end in ic, the stress syllable comes just before the ic ending. So as you can see, in all these words, the stress comes just before the ic ending. For ical, the stress rule for the ical ending, for words that end in ical, the stress syllable comes just before the ical ending. So as you can see, it's just before. So you can have some other consonant as long as it's an ical. So mickle, jickle, mickle, tickle, right? As long as it's before the ical.